and we can share them with everybody and give, hopefully give guidance or some answers to them. So go ahead. Does anybody have a question before we get started? Um, tell you what the purpose of today's township talk is, and that is that you have a place to speak to the ITA as an organization and how we can best support you in your job and what changes might be made to townships, things like that. Because one of the services that ITA provides to townships in Indiana is that we lobby the General Assembly and state office holders, other organizations, agencies on behalf of townships. And so it's very helpful to hear from you as to what you'd like to see or what you struggle with, like what frustrates you in your position that might have a fix. And if you share your frustration, please share a solution or a suggestion, and we'll see if we can help with that. So, with me to answer questions is Drew Durham. I'm Debbie Driscoll, by the way. I'm the executive director for the ITA. And Drew, are you there?
I'm
Drew
here. I
Durham.
just don't have camera access, so I'm trying
Okay.
to figure that out. My computer's not working, but I may jump on my phone so the meeting doesn't collapse.
So Drew is our associate director. We are both trustees. So I'm the trustee in Delaware Hamilton, which is the Fishers area, Drew.
I'm the trustee in Center Township in Howard County, which is mainly the city of Kokomo.
Okay. And then with us is also our office administrator, Gina. Gina Perez has been with us for what, about 6 months now? Has been that long?
Actually, it's only been about 3 to 4.
Oh,
That's
It
okay.
was the end of July. July
Yeah,
25th was when she started.
okay. Okay. I'm not counting this morning.
that's okay.
Uh, all right. So this is the staff for the Indiana Township Association. We have one other uh, person that does the bookkeeping, Anthony Hobbs, and but for day-to-day things, um, you're with us. So we are here to hear you and to try to answer your questions. Um, let's see. So we'll just jump right in. If you could all mute your microphones, that would be helpful. Okay. Amy's iPhone needs muted.
I got it.
Oh, and I see Kay Walker, our ITA president, is on with us today. Kay, you want to say hello?
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
See you, honey.
Mhm. So the first question that came in was, how will the last election affect townships? We don't really know yet. Um, we have tried throughout this election cycle to I guess project into the future based upon the statements given by candidates. Um, we don't expect any drastic changes in state government, whether you're talking General Assembly or the governor's office. We expect things to probably continue as they have, we expect to have a meeting with Governor-elect Braun within the next month is what they have indicated to us. And perhaps then we'll be able to speak more as to um, Drew, do you want to take the written questions and then we'll take stabs at them
Yeah,
together?
just a second here. Trying to do something so I have a camera. Yeah, so we've got the first question about the election. The second question, I guess this was a sub part of this question. Governor-elect has said he's planning to reduce property taxes. That's great for us individually, but when will we see this effect on our township revenue?
Well, this was actually an initiative that was attempted about 4 years ago, possibly 3, um, with the General Assembly making serious consideration of either eliminating or greatly reducing property tax. At that time, we joined of other organizations such as AIM, who represents cities and towns, Association of Indiana Counties, school superintendents, school business officers organization, libraries, everyone that is dependent at the local level on property tax came together for a campaign called Replace Donor Race. And I anticipate that we're going to be charging that coalition up again, where we join forces to message to lobby all the decision makers that don't forget about local government and our dependence on property taxes. So we will again be fighting for a replacement. If they want to erase it, they're going to have to find a way. And believe me, every local government organization is very concerned about this idea and what impact it'll have on local government.
Next question, is there a possibility of having a group chat or conversation in some way a couple times a month that would allow us to share thoughts, ideas, resources with other trustees?
Drew, you and I have talked about this idea, have we not? About providing more opportunity for connecting. For the time being, we have this Township Talk, and the idea was that in the beginning with Township Talk was to not only provide you with information and an opportunity to be educated in different aspects of our work, but also leaving time at the end for just general Q&A on any subject related to townships. That doesn't fully answer your question or your desire to have that connection, but I want you to know that we are looking at a way to make that happen, so that you do have more time for connecting, sharing resources, and networking.
So some thoughts that came to my mind is that I know there are a couple of Facebook groups out there that people have joined about township offices. They're not an ITA thing. We could try something like that, but I know not everybody uses Facebook. I can look into some apps to maybe like, not really like a blog or a board or something like that, where you can go in there and post questions, like a forum. That's what I was trying to think of the word. Let me look into that. Any kind of text group chat would be nearly impossible. I mean, it'd be best to do ones that you're familiar with, or we would have so many contacts on there. It'd just be something a lot of people would probably not want to have notifications of on their phone constantly. But we can look into maybe getting with the Facebook and then starting a group instead of the page. And that way we can invite members. And then what we can do is start with a few and then hopefully expand it. The trustees that the trustees that I know, the trustees that they know, and then grow the group from there. And then when we have questions, it can be a private group. So it's not everybody in the world can jump in it, but township employees, trustees, or board members that are interested in questions, or somebody wants to go there and post a question, because a lot of times other trustees can answer the questions just as well, or sometimes faster than us at ITA. So it may be something that we can do very quickly.
And with that, I think we have to keep in mind that when you do create a group like that, sometimes not the best information gets shared. In other words, someone might answer a question that maybe they have not learned legislative changes that impact that answer. So it would require us to monitor it on a regular basis to try to be sure that guidance lines up with statute and compliance issues with State Board of Accounts, that kind of thing. And so my question, I guess, back to those that would like this kind of thing, would you prefer something that is more of a written text, or are you looking for more FaceTime, like an additional Zoom meetup where you can talk? Let us know that in the chat, just so we can get a feel for what your preferences might be.
The next question is, can we have the Township Talk recordings posted on the website for future reference? So all of our Township Talks are underneath, and we get questions about this a lot of times. It's in the Member Center, and then if you go to, there's a search option that you can type in what you're looking for, or you can hit the tree option, which kind of gives you a breakdown of where everything is, our past conference information, our Township Talks for this year, all the links, and if we have a presenter that has a PowerPoint, we'll put it there. So I think our last one we did was in October with Indiana Bond Bank. So her Zoom that we did, we record these, and then I put it on our YouTube page, which I can share, maybe put it somewhere that you can go visit from, not just the document center. So we've had all of our recorded Township Talks this year put on YouTube, and that way you can watch these conversations over again, or if there's a presentation or something. So we do make sure they're recorded and they are uploaded. How fast we get them uploaded from end of meeting to actually on the website depends. Sometimes I have to wait on the presenter to give me their information, but I just have to go upload it to YouTube and then get it approved for publication. And then I usually share that link as fast as possible. Hold on. If you give me just a second, somebody said they have the same question, and I will show you real quick if I can pull up my screen. Give me just a second here. I'll share with this screen. And I actually even have a YouTube video out there where I sent this personally to some trustees to find these things. Okay. So when you go to the ITA website, you go here to your Member Center login. And then once we're here, there underneath the documents, or if you hit this paper clip right here, it will actually take you to the document center, and you could search Township Talk. It's going to tag anything that we've ever uploaded with that, and they would be here. But then right here is our October 10th, 24 Township Talk. You just click that link and it takes you to the YouTube page. And then also, if you ever want to see any other trainings that we have without going or being logged into the ITA website, we have our past ones here. So I know somebody asked about the weeds and fences. It's on there. The Township Talk from April, and then this thing is in the way. I can't see here. So we have a couple on here. So if we didn't have it on here, it means we either the recording didn't happen or maybe we just skipped that month for a meeting. But we're going to make sure anytime that we get on here that we post these so that you guys can see them and that we can get those to you. But let me go back to the. Okay. So typically I always tell people if they call, I tell them to click this tree thing right here, this hierarchy, this like branch tree. And then if you go here, if there's anything you're looking for, whether it's, we have a section with community service agreements, policies that you can use as templates for your own office. And then most of the stuff is going to be for township talk is going to be under trainings and not educational or township assistance documents. So within this training section, we have our 2023 township assistance training, new township officials training, and then our 2024 township talks. And we have the links here for those. Get out of here. Okay, next question. Are townships going to be required to provide online access to all meetings in 2025? If so, what kind of assistance can ITA offer?
Well, Drew and I actually met with State Board of Accounts yesterday, and this was, I guess, the primary thing in that meeting was trying to get a better hold on the expectation of the General Assembly within the new statute. We have been referred to get those answers for you from Luke Britt, our public access counselor. And so that is what we're going to pursue, is to get guidance from that office and then disseminate it to all of you. So I would look for that, in the upcoming weeks, we'll get that. And like I said, get it out to all of you.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we've gotten questions about this for the past year, it's going to be kind of rocky in the beginning as far as what you use, what's allowed, and like once we speak with the public access counselor to what we need to have on there or how where we need to store it, we will share that with you. If you're not thinking about it right now, I would consider looking into options of how you would do it. We've gotten calls of, can it be a phone? Can it be a Zoom recording? Can it be, I think one place wanted to hire a local TV production company to record the meetings, like kind of like a public access. And we don't really know right now. My office personally is going to try to do YouTube, and we're going to try to implement it in January. That way we're ahead of it before July, and it's not, okay, how do we do this now when it's required? That way you can kind of work out how it will work for your office, because obviously not everybody's going to want to spend a lot of money on this, but I think there's very simple ways that you can record the meetings or make them live stream. So like I know on YouTube, you can have it live and it will actually archive the videos naturally or record it for you. And then from there, where are we supposed to post it? I don't know, on your website or somewhere where they can access it. So once we get those details of how we can make it accessible for people, that's going to be the trickier part of it, because if you don't have a website or something like that, you may have to talk to a county office and see if they can post a link for your meetings, and if that would suffice for the public access part of it. So it's a work in progress, but I would consider looking into live streaming platforms if you can. Equipment wise, I think you can go from anything from recording on a phone to a laptop, and as long as it can live stream video, you should be good.
Okay. Drew, I skipped down here to Sherry's question. for you, Drew. I emailed some time ago inquiring if the ITA has a contact list for all the active townships in Indiana, name, address, phone, email, etc.
Yeah. And Sherry, we do have access for that. Um, I can get you that listing. It's just I have to get it into Excel. It's the system has it in there, and we have every contact in there. But for me to take it, I have to filter through it and try to get those exact things, or you'll get stuff on there that you won't need
Yeah.
on our
And
membership
and
side.
yeah, and we typically have not, provided those lists because the information can be found, but not in a list form. And that's for your own protection because if the list ends up going out to someone and they decide to market you or with products or services um, that you didn't ask for. So we're very careful about sharing the full list, but we encourage you. And Drew, I was going to ask you, how can, like, if I want to look up trustees information on AMO, how do I do that?
1 second
In
here.
other words, as a user, yeah, okay.
So it's on ours. It's not gonna. We don't have it like advertised out there just to find Great Township. We have a member directory, but you're gonna have to know what you're looking for, or like at least the county or city it's
Mm.
near, and then from there it'll find information. So um, I guess it's just to me like if somebody asks us for a list, we hope that you give us the intent of the list because that's a lot of information. Like Debbie said, it's not that you can't get any of it, but you're not going to be able to get a bulk 1,002 plus contact list without asking for me to get it. And I have to go basically create it at the same time. So there is a member directory. And if you were looking for, somewhere and you just wanted to look by city, you could find the ones that are closest to here. Um, but it's going to pull anybody that's listed in our system. It's not going to necessarily have always the right information because we have to update in real time sometimes trustees or vacancies or their new ones that have been brought in midterm that we don't get noticed until somebody tells us. But I can get that for you. It's just going to take me some time because I have certain lists that I have saved already, but sometimes they don't have contacts like emails and phone numbers with it. I just don't have that one actively.
Okay, I see the next question. I believe it's from Beverly, from Washington Township about the municipal guide. That is a publication that is put out, by another source. We posted it on our website a few years in a row, um, just as a resource. We were not endorsing it as being correct. And with several contacts being made to us that the information was not correct, we are no longer posting it. Um, it's possible that we could put it in the resource center, but I don't know how we would put a disclaimer on it. We have nothing to do with it. So if you wanted to see your information changed in that, you would need to reach out to the publisher. Okay.
There's a question on here. Is there any discussion how we can replace the revenues that will be lost with all these residential TIFs? The taxing entities that are losing from these are not asking these questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Drew, I don't know what your opinion is on TIFs.
I mean, I got an opinion on TIFs, but it's
Mm-hmm.
it's probably similar with Kevin's. I mean, if you
Mm-hmm.
live in an area, a county or city that, if you understand what TIFs are, and I had to kind of self-educate myself really what it meant for everybody else. I know they usually have to have meetings that, whoever's proposing these TIFs, and if people show up, I doubt that happens, but I I don't have a great opinion about it, but I don't know if there's much we can do other than if you're in your local area to go to those meetings to. I don't know if you can object to the TIF proposals. I know they have to send out public hearing notices to taxing entities that it'll affect, and usually if you get those notices in the mail, you're like, what does this have to do with me? But it's usually something like that. So I guess be
Yeah.
a advocate in your local community, and hopefully that your city or county or whoever's proposing these TIFs are doing them for the right reasons. I get that there's probably two sides of that sword. It doesn't help us out anymore, but it does help the economic development of your area, which they could say would be the benefit bearer of all other taxing entities. But it's one of those tools that they
Township
have.
trustee, Teresa speaking. May I help you?
Yeah.
Oh, Teresa, there
Yeah.
you go.
Kevin, do you want to jump in? Maybe I don't know if we're answering that by I don't know, Debbie. Is there really a lot of chatter from other entities about how TIFs
Um,
impact us or a stance against it?
well, all that we can do is remonstrate against it locally, but as everybody knows, we don't have a vote. They don't have to listen to us. Um, Several years ago, there was an attempt with a bill um, to reform TIFs because the legislators that authored the bill felt that they were being overused, and the bill the bill died in Ways and Means that year. Um, it wouldn't hurt to be sure that your state rep, your senator, know the impact of these TIFs on our taxing ability, because it does limit us in our collection for our levies, for our tax rates.
Next question is just received a fraudulent form that looks like it's from Kroger that others may need to be on the lookout. It looks real. They emailed me earlier this year and contacted the sheriff to confirm that it is fake. What kind of form was it? I guess from Kroger's.
Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Debbie. It looks like this.
Hi.
It looks like this, and it looks very
Oh.
official. But it is not. It even comes in it literally just arrived in my mail today. I mean, it looks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and they're asking, like, they ask for all this information, and like for tax information, and I'm like, oh, they're trying to. So I was really close to replying when they emailed me twice, but then at the end it says this must be signed by someone other than accounts payable contact, and I was like, there is no one else that can sign it besides me. So I'm like, and so
Right.
then contacted the sheriff, but it's just like people are getting very savvy, so you need to watch out for stuff like this.
Wow. Thanks, Angela. Good to see
You're
you.
welcome.
That was the only other question I have. The question I have for the people that are on here is, as we're getting it ready for 2025, and Debbie mentioned this at the beginning, we're trying to get some gauging of topics that you guys would like to talk about. Obviously, there's certain things we can talk about as far as timing, like we have the noxious weeds and fence line disputes in the summer when that's usually more of a happening, especially for the weeds portion of it. So we can kind of time those things up, and in January we'll probably focus on our annual reporting, our 100 R's, and any questions about tax forms that people have. But there does get to certain points where we're like, well, what do you guys want to hear? So if you have a suggestion of topics that you think you would like to hear on a township talk, keep in mind that we only typically have 30 minutes. So, or not 30 minutes, we have an hour. And with that, we can always try to get to the questions, but some topics take more time than others. And we just want to leave it, have some of your input or thoughts of what would be good topics for next year. Obviously, we're going to try to do something before July about live streaming once we get some information in, and we can kind of give you guys a best practice. Is not going to, it's not going to be ideal for everybody because it may not fit your budgets or your needs of your township, but we're going to try to give you, hey, you can try this. This is how we would do it. And we'll do that well before July gets here.
Well, while we have the attention of a few people here, we are looking for suggestions all the way around as far as our educational programming. And if you could, let us know where you think the gaps are. We have the opportunity going forward to do possibly regional training. We would like quarterly to continue offering full day seminars in Central Indiana. What topics, what areas of your work are most troublesome for you? Is anybody anything good for the good of the order, so to speak? Anything that's that you've observed that you would like others to know about, just like Angela gave us the tip on the Kroger scam. Perhaps you're seeing something else in your office that you think we should all know about.
Hey, Debbie.
Hi,
It's
Sharon.
Perry Township. We get that
Yeah.
Kroger. Sorry, I got off the mic, so I'm not sure what you were talking about because I had to go to the filing cabinet. We get that Kroger form every year, the one that I don't remember who is showing it. It's a legitimate form, the one that it looked just like what she had, and it's just an account update information. I've got it going the same kind of form, I think back to 2017 at least. Is that what you were still talking
Okay.
about?
Okay. Well,
So
we just open it up. No, that's fine. We just open it up broadly for suggestions or questions.
Well,
Or-
I don't know who she talked to about it, but it's coming from their central Kroger. So when we do township assistance vouchers, it goes to that. Is it Pennsylvania, Brandon, Kansas? It goes someplace, and that's where we mail the checks. They haven't been mailed locally for a long time. So they have a central processing unit that takes the checks for township assistance vouchers. And that form is just updating our account information. If that helps.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Kansas. Brandon's telling me it goes to Kansas.
Okay. Anybody else? I don't want to linger here if you feel we're done. This is your meeting. So any kind of question is fine.
So we got one IT for smaller townships. I met with a vendor from conference. Their services were approximately $600 a month.
Ooh, IoT. IoT.
IT.
Indiana, huh? I know.
IT.
Oh,
Oh,
so IoT, well, what services are they looking for first? Before we can, what particular services? Is it hardware, software issues, networking, website? I don't know. Um,
Jen, can you elaborate on that? Do you have the ability to? I don't know if she.
Oh, really?
Okay, what I'm looking for is how to connect computers and
I see.
cybersecurity.
Mhm.
Now, IoT can help a little bit, but I talked to IoT about that CrowdStrike, and they told me that they would prefer if I went in with the county or the city
Mm.
because it takes a lot of work.
Oh.
I don't know that the county, or I don't want to go with the city, but I don't think, not sure that the county will let me come in. And
County,
if
or
we
you're
have to
from
start
Fulton County?
streaming, then I, I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
Hey, Jane, what is your relationship like with your county commissioners? Do you know
It's
them?
pretty good.
Do
So
you?
yeah, I was going to go over and talk to them. I went to school with a couple of them. So
Yeah, I would talk to your county commissioner, tell them the struggle you're having. Years ago, when my township was much smaller, my county provided me with IT assistance with from their department. Maybe it's something you can work out with. You're in Fulton County.
yes,
Maybe you can work out something, some sort of relationship with your county. I don't
okay.
know. It's just an idea. Yeah,
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
sure.
Somebody asked, does anyone have a voucher program for school clothes? How does it work? I know a lot of the Marion County trustee's office do vouchers for school clothes, and I think some people up in Lake County were Sherry was answering there. You can do it. I think a lot of times it depends on working with the right vendors to accept the voucher for your clients. But I would But I would maybe look at talking to one of those townships to see how they do it. It's not something that everybody does, but you do have the ability. But I would look to, Marion County, Lake County, Ross Township, Calumet Township, where they do those clothing vouchers and see how they process it. Any experience with paying part-time employees with the salary spread over 12 months? I guess are you just saying like they're getting paid monthly and doing that way? I guess I got to figure out what the question is as far as the payroll side to figure out what your issues are with, I guess.
I'm trying to get Bonnie's car. Is that hot down there?
Yeah. My car's been parked there all morning. Must have.
I don't believe they were asking a question, so I muted them. There's got to be somebody out there who'd love to talk. The statewide resource list, is that the municipal guide that Debbie had talked about? Does anyone use content management systems such as OptiSign to scroll resources on a television screen? I do not use it personally. I mean, I think it would be useful if you have the ability to, in your office to put a TV up to do it. But now I know there's stuff out there. I know maybe uh, Allen County, Wayne Township, Allen County has something like that, but I'm not sure if they use that specific program to put content up in their lobbies. But it would be worth that. That's an uncommon question, I guess. Is there a statewide resource for agencies to use things such as housing, grants, et cetera? Especially, I'm looking for a grant for opportunities, a resource for home repairs, or a recess for repairs to someone's heating source. We get those calls. Debbie, you're muted. Okay. Can you hear me, Debbie? I can't hear you. Now I muted you. So you have Debbie's figuring that out. Obviously, somebody put in the comments there, Indiana 211 will give resources. We don't have a master list of resources on our end. Um, a lot of times, that's a better thing for an agency like 211 because they got all the contact information for all these different types of agencies, um, for things like home repairs or something that may be locally to that community. Sometimes I know you put on there a resource for repairs to someone's heating source. As a trustee, you can assist with them in repairing a heating system or a water heater as well. So it depends if it's in your standards. But I know in my office we've had to help somebody with a furnace before. But and then the grants portion, we don't really have any grants that we can always go for as townships. But I mean, I can put links to different grant sites, but to get in there, you often have to put um, your own personal information, your own logins, and we can't really see what's out there to filter it to everybody else. Because you could look at IHCDA grants, you could look at DNR grants that are in the state, but a lot of times when you get to looking into grants, you got to be cognizant of a lot of them want you to have a 501c3. Sometimes government entities can apply for them, but I know if you would go to the federal grant page, it is very cumbersome to figure out what fits in if you qualify for those grants. So you may end up wasting a lot more time. But if you have resources and maybe it's a partnership with a 501c3, that's usually the best opportunity for grants out there. So I can put links to go to them, but what's going to be pertinent to townships, I don't know if I'll be able to pinpoint that for our whole membership. Yeah, if a lot of people, if they don't do vouchers for clothing, they will either partner with other agencies, and that's an option too. Is if you'd rather, if you have a mission or not necessarily a goodwill where you can work out something with them. A lot of times people refer them to these local charities that do those things too. So if you don't, maybe check 211, see if there's resources for clothing. But if you can do clothing vouchers, I would ask them the people that are currently doing just to see how they do it for school clothes. I know a lot of times they make the parents come in. It's just like a regular application. They're applying for those things, and then they have to usually go out with them to those vendors or send the vouchers with them. But it all depends on the vendors a lot of times. Anyone else heard of energy assistance amounts fallen drastically? I guess that's more open-ended. Yeah, the I haven't heard anything about EAP, Lydia. I don't know if your area is. I know our clients have all the signups had just ended, but I haven't heard anything about them being lower. I guess I'd have to talk to our caseworkers to see if we're what's going on with that. Very quiet on here. It's just me talking and some static on the background. Can anybody attest to Lydia's question about if their EAPs amounts were lower? And if you want to jump, you can unmute yourself if you want to just jump in. So don't feel like we muted you also you couldn't speak. If you want to, instead of typing a question, jump in, just unmute yourself and fire your shot.
Hey, Drew.
Yep.
Steve Kaiser, Abington Township.
Mm-hmm. How you doing?
I'm good, buddy. I've had a lot of problems getting any senator or congressman to even sit down and talk to me or return phone calls or anything like that. You got any idea of how to make that possible?
Abby, did you hear his question?
I was switching devices. No, what is it?
So he asked, how could he's tried to reach out to his local senator or his senator and his local rep for I'm guessing the state house, right, Steve?
Yeah, any senator or congressman, I would love to sit down. I mean, in my local area would be nice, but I would sit down with any.
Yep.
And
Thank you,
I
Steve.
can't get nobody. I mean, it's
Wow.
like trying to pull teeth. They don't want to communicate.
No. And Steve, if I could just share what I've learned through the years, and that is state reps and state senators want to talk to their constituents, period. Somebody from the south end of the state gets contacted by somebody from the north end of the state and with a question or wanting to share, you're probably not going to be successful. That is just they are barraged with emails, phone calls, all these points of contact are it's a huge number that they receive each day, and they have a legislative assistant that usually works for 2 or 3 representatives, and they have to wade through all of those messages to find out what is relevant, what is junk, just like we do, but on a much larger scale. And so many members of the General Assembly have commented over the years that, you know, can you please tell your folks, meaning trustees, to contact their local folks, because we don't have time to reply or consider 1,002 townships chiming in on an issue. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's like, and the worst thing about it is I did start locally first with, phone calls, emails, got nothing. And it puzzles me to the general sense that you would think, even being a taxpayer, that your government official should be able to get a hold of another government official a hell of a lot easier than a citizen could. But
Right.
it's kind of like they don't want to have anything to do or talk or have communication with the trustees. It's
Wow.
like they might talk to county commissioners or something, but that's adding such a chain of command through that your commissioners are busier and all get out. You can't send everything through them and think it's going to get to the state house.
What county are you in?
Wayne.
Okay. Have you ever thought about all the trustees in Wayne County inviting your representatives or your senator to a meeting of the trustees?
Well, in my short 2 years of being trustee and trying to learn this position, I learned at an early age that I asked every single trustee around me for help, and that went not very well. So I kind of feel like I'm lone wolfing it a little bit in the progress of moving things forward, and not to the sense of doing things the way they've been done for years, and just pay the bills, do this, whatever. I come from a different breed, so I don't know. I think there's room for growth. I have a real problem with every year coming up with legislation to get rid of the trustees. I don't think that's the answer and solution to our taxpayers. So, and I've kind of figured out why they're doing that, because it's like some of us want to do the job and maybe some of them don't. So,
well, don't give up. Just don't give up. Just keep at it. I know it can be discouraging, but keep reaching out to your fellow trustees in Wayne County and try to make connections with them and try to build, think you're only 2 years in. You've probably got a ways to go here. Think about building a good network, a good coalition within the trustees. And from that, as a group, you can leverage more influence with the state reps and senators. I speak from experience. In my county, we have a very strong group. There's only 9 of us in our county, 9 townships, but we, as much as we can, we speak with one voice, whether it's to a commissioner, a council, the auditor, or our state reps and senators. We try to speak with one voice, and it's much more effective.
Okay. And like I made a comment at the convention, I don't know if it'd be possible, but how we may be able next year's convention actually have some state representatives there. Somebody that would actually have the guts to step into the room and listen to us. And
yeah, you are going to find out that they come to our events a lot. This year we did program differently. Last year we had quite a few people show up, including the governor, the lieutenant governor, and several state reps and senators. So this year we did things a little bit differently, but I assure you they will be invited and likely will show next time around.
Do we have our own lobbyist as a township association?
I do the lobbying work, and then Drew will be working with me this session. There was a time where we did outsource our lobbying, and it's a matter of affordability. If you think about it, for us to hire an outside lobbyist for a long session, we're probably looking at a minimum of $50,000, more likely a $70,000-$80,000 price tag. So that's a lot of money for an organization our size.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that. I'm trying to figure out how the IVFA can afford one.
Well, because they have Larry Curl, and Larry is a former firefighter, as you probably know, a former chief. And he works from a place of passion about the volunteer fire service, and not necessarily from a paycheck point of view, if you know what I mean. In other words, he's not as expensive as a lobbying firm or someone that is outside the organization, so to speak.
And on to that, Debbie, with Steve, not hopefully, we will be trying to get something organized for this winter for the general session, a day at the state house or something like that. So keep that in mind, and that might be a good time to not necessarily corner your rep or your senator, but to make some of those connections there. And when we do that, hopefully we got good attendance with a lot of trustees there if you are interested in, because it sometimes, like Debbie said, it is hard. My house rep for my area, I just happened to be in the same room as him and asked him if I could talk to him for 45 minutes. And, at least there's an initial conversation started there. So it's hopefully you can still reach through to him in your local, the local means. But when we do get together in late January, February, we can, maybe you can get a chance down there as well.
I think I ended up with more communications during Lincoln dinners or the election time of actually getting some face-to-face time to somebody than anything.
In here forever.
But somebody made a comment sent me a message that says attending legislation sessions in winter and spring. When is that, or what is that?
I'm not sure what they're talking about. The General Assembly session begins at the first of the year. I think it's either the 6th or 8th of January.
It was Sherry. It says that is why it is imperative for every trustee to attend the legislative session in winter and spring.
It's probably talking about what she's probably referring to what we were just saying, where we used to do it annually and then it got switched to biannually, the trustees legislative conference, or if we make it something where it's just one day where we all can get down there together and at the state house and talk about the bills that are going to be on the.
We'll definitely have a day at the state house this year, and that might be what she was referencing.
Okay, and there'll be an email sending out information on when that is.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's my old thing. I retired as lieutenant fire service, so I understand exactly what you're saying about Larry Curl. I mean, it's kind of like we do this job.
Oh, wait, buddy.
So, hello.
You're still there. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. So I definitely understand what you mean about Larry Curl and our time that we put in as more as a passion. And I've kind of learned from the sense that one of the big things I want to talk to him about is, majority of our state is volunteers, and Indiana hangs their hat on a volunteer state. Well, the fire service, them days are past, and people don't volunteer no more. And that's why every department, the 738 volunteer departments or whatever in the state are so hurting so bad, is because them times are past. People don't volunteer. They got busy times, busy lives, family,
right,
kids, soccer, everything. And I think if the state can put $2.5 million into reserves and brag about it, then that should be maybe a sense of to help the volunteers in the state, that maybe there should be some talk about you get a 50% tax break on your property tax if you volunteer for safety services, police, fire, anything like that in the state. So, but that's got to be done at a state level. So I don't know if anybody's ever thought about that.
I think that the General Assembly is looking for answers to the problem with recruitment and retention statewide. In the meantime, the main tool that we have is forming a fire territory and basically pooling your levies to provide the service. And that's why we have seen so many territories pop up in the last few years, is because of what you described, Steve. And thank you for your comments, Steve. Appreciate it. And I just, before we run out of time, just want to be, see if anybody has any other burning questions.
It just says I'm guessing it's Washington Township. I'm guessing if she wants to jump on there real quick. She said she's had a couple comments.
Beverly, are you there? Washington Township, Decatur County. Bev? Okay.
Let me see.
Okay.
Not ours. There's another Washington Township.
Right. This is what I'm saying. Washington Township, Decatur County. Sorry, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yep. Decatur County. I think it's Beverly. I don't know. Well, Beverly, I think we received an email from you yesterday, and I'll try to respond to any questions we didn't get to yet. And thank you all very much for participating today, and wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next time. Drew, you have any parting thoughts?
Nope. And just like I said, all the meetings that we have, they're recorded, so we'll get them posted to the website. Sorry, it's over here facing the ground. So if you do have questions about the website or just finding something, you can email me personally. My email is just adurham, my first initial, my last name at ita-in.org. And I can either send you the video of how to find stuff, or I can just, talk you through it as we go.
Thank you all. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye.